The story of Mrs. Olivia, her daughter Elena, and her grandchildren. Mrs. Olivia had always prided herself on her independence. A retired teacher with a passion for painting and gardening, she had spent decades cultivating a life rich in purpose and joy. However, as she entered her late 60s, her daughter Elena began to express concern about Olivia living alone. "It'll be easier for us to take care of you," Elena assured her, pointing out the benefits of proximity, not just for emergencies, but for the joy of shared family moments. Olivia was enticed by the idea of being a more integral part of her grandchildren's lives, envisioning laughter-filled afternoons and cherished memories. The promise of familial closeness seemed like the perfect complement to her next chapter, so she made the significant decision to sell her home, a place filled with years of personal history, and relocate to a cozy apartment just minutes from Elena's house. What Olivia didn't anticipate, however, was how this decision would subtly reshape the dynamics of her life and her role within the family. The family honeymoon, when everything seems perfect. At first, life was idyllic for Mrs. Olivia. The proximity to her daughter Elena and her grandchildren brought a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. Each morning, she looked forward to spontaneous visits where laughter and stories filled the air. She delighted in helping with school pickups, cherishing the moments when her grandchildren eagerly recounted their day's adventures. Every soccer game and ballet recital became a celebration of their growth, a chance to cheer from the sidelines and feel an integral part of their lives. Olivia felt deeply connected, not only as a grandmother, but as a vital pillar of support in Elena's household. This closeness seemed to confirm the decision to live nearby, reinforcing her belief that family was her greatest treasure. In these early days, the family dynamic flourished. There were no burdens, only shared joy. The harmony in their interactions brought a warmth that made Olivia's new chapter feel like a perfect continuation of her life's journey. The silent transformation, from grandmother to unpaid nanny. Over time, the lines between familial love and obligation became increasingly indistinct. What began as a few hours of joyful babysitting quickly snowballed into an unspoken agreement that Olivia would handle much of the day-to-day child-rearing. Mornings turned into a flurry of activity, preparing breakfasts, packing lunches, and rushing the children to school. Afternoons were no less demanding, filled with pickups, extracurricular activities, and household chores that extended late into the evening. Though Elena and her husband appreciated Olivia's help, they rarely paused to consider the growing burden it placed on her. For Olivia, the warm glow of family connection gradually dimmed, replaced by a sense of duty that felt both unacknowledged and inescapable. Her personal time vanished, the painting she once loved, the quiet moments in her garden, and even her treasured afternoon walks became distant memories. She found herself slipping into the role of an unpaid nanny, a stark departure from the joyful, supportive presence she had envisioned. The unspoken expectations weighed heavily on her, fostering a quiet resentment and a gnawing question. Had she, in seeking closeness, traded her independence for an unending cycle of servitude? The price of living together. When love becomes a burden. The arrangement took a profound toll on Olivia's well-being, both physically and emotionally. Her love for her family was undeniable, but the unspoken expectations weighed heavily on her. She began to experience subtle signs of burnout, constant fatigue, irritability, and a creeping sense of dissatisfaction. The joy she once found in her grandchildren's laughter now felt overshadowed by the relentless demands of caregiving. Each day, her sense of self eroded as her identity became increasingly tied to serving others. Yet, Olivia remained silent, fearing that expressing her struggles might be perceived as selfish or ungrateful. She worried that admitting her feelings could damage the delicate family harmony, creating tension or guilt in Elena. This inner conflict left her trapped in a cycle of quiet suffering, underscoring the Stoic principle that unacknowledged burdens eventually distort even the most loving relationships. The unexpected revelation. Advice from a wise friend. During their coffee outing, Clara provided Olivia with a profound insight rooted in Stoic philosophy. She explained that while love is a powerful and essential force, it should never come at the cost of one's inner tranquility. Clara pointed out that Olivia had unknowingly surrendered her peace by allowing the unspoken expectations of her family to dictate her actions. This, she explained, was a common trap, confusing self-sacrifice with love. Clara emphasized a key Stoic teaching from Marcus Aurelius. True strength comes from recognizing that we cannot control external circumstances, only our responses to them. By internalizing this wisdom, Olivia could reclaim her sense of agency, setting boundaries that honor her emotional well-being while still expressing love for her family. Clara reminded her that a balance must be struck. Only by prioritizing her own peace could Olivia offer her family a healthy, joyful version of herself. Clara urged Olivia to reflect on her needs and the importance of maintaining her independence, even within the bonds of family. The awakening. Rediscovering the value of independence. Clara's words struck a chord because they illuminated a truth Olivia had long ignored. Her gradual surrender of autonomy was the root of her discontent. In prioritizing her family's needs above her own, she had unknowingly neglected the activities that once brought her immense joy and fulfillment. Painting, which used to be her creative outlet and a source of inner peace, now lay untouched. Her thriving garden, once a vibrant sanctuary, had withered as she spent her days caring for her grandchildren. Even her long walks, where she found solace and clarity, had become rare. Olivia realized that in losing touch with these personal joys, she had also lost a vital part of herself. Clara's reminder of the Stoic principle, that true happiness stems from within and is fortified by maintaining control over one's choices, gave Olivia the courage to reclaim her life. It wasn't about forsaking her family, but about recognizing that self-care and independence are essential to sustaining meaningful relationships. The difficult conversation, breaking the cycle of dependency. With newfound clarity, Olivia found the courage to initiate a conversation with Elena that had long been weighing on her mind. She gently expressed her deep love for her daughter and grandchildren, but also communicated the emotional and physical toll the current living arrangement had taken on her. Olivia admitted that, although she cherished her role within the family, she had neglected her own needs and sense of autonomy. "I want to be a part of your lives," she said softly, "but I also need to reclaim parts of my own." Elena, initially taken aback by her mother's honesty, soon realized the extent to which she had relied on Olivia without recognizing the strain it placed on her. The realization hit hard. Elena hadn't fully understood that their closeness had transformed from a mutual exchange of love to an unspoken dependency. In the weeks that followed, mother and daughter engaged in open, heartfelt discussions, working together to establish boundaries that would allow Olivia to maintain her independence while still being an integral part of the family. This honest and vulnerable conversation became the foundation of a healthier dynamic, one rooted in respect for both Olivia's need for personal space and the family's desire to stay closely connected. The rebirth, a new chapter in Mrs. Olivia's life. Freed from the constant demands of caregiving, Olivia experienced a profound personal rebirth. She reconnected with the passions that had once brought her joy and fulfillment, but had been neglected for years. Joining a local art class reignited her creativity, offering a therapeutic outlet where she could express herself and rediscover the quiet peace that painting had always provided. Volunteering at a community garden allowed her to reconnect with nature and contribute to something meaningful, while the new book club became a source of intellectual stimulation and social connection. These activities not only filled her life with purpose, but also gave her the energy and mental clarity to enjoy her time with her grandchildren more fully. Without the constant pressure of caregiving, Olivia found a renewed sense of self, which in turn deepened her relationships. She was no longer a tired and resentful grandmother, but one who could engage with her family from a place of vitality, bringing her whole self into their moments together. The paradox of love: how distance strengthens bonds. Interestingly, the slight physical and emotional distance between Olivia and her family ultimately strengthened their bond. With less daily dependence on Olivia, her presence became more valued and cherished. The grandchildren, who had once seen her as a constant caregiver, now saw her as a vibrant and energetic figure. Someone whose time and attention felt more special because it was not taken for granted. Olivia's renewed vitality and joy were palpable. She no longer felt drained by obligation, but instead energized by the time spent with them. As a result, their interactions became more purposeful and fulfilling. The moments they shared were richer, as they were now filled with genuine connection rather than routine, and the grandchildren felt a deeper appreciation for their grandmother, understanding that her love and wisdom came not from duty, but from a place of true joy and choice. This distance, far from creating separation, deepened their emotional intimacy, as both Olivia and her family members recognized the importance of quality over quantity in their time together. The wisdom of balance, finding the middle ground. Stoicism teaches that living in alignment with nature involves recognizing and honoring both our external relationships and internal needs. Seneca's advice, "We should seek to live according to nature," underscores the importance of finding equilibrium between these two aspects of life. For Olivia, this meant acknowledging her deep love and need for connection with her family, while also honoring her natural need for independence and personal fulfillment. Stoicism encourages individuals to avoid excess and extremes, teaching that true contentment lies in moderation. By setting boundaries, Olivia was able to cultivate a space where both her family's needs and her own were respected, which allowed her to nurture her relationships without sacrificing her well-being. This balance, between attachment to others and devotion to oneself, created a harmonious dynamic that not only preserved her happiness, but also deepened her connection with her loved ones. Through this process, Olivia embodied the Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature, where both personal growth and familial bonds coexist in a state of mutual respect and love. Mrs. Olivia's legacy: a lesson in self-love and family. Through her journey, Olivia imparted a profound lesson to her family. Love, at its core, thrives when it is rooted in mutual respect and individual fulfillment. She demonstrated to her grandchildren that true love doesn't demand the sacrifice of one's personal identity or well-being for the sake of others. By taking time to rediscover her passions and assert her independence, Olivia taught them that self-care is not a selfish act, but a necessary foundation for being able to give and receive love in a healthy, meaningful way. Her actions embodied the courage it takes to pursue personal growth, even when faced with the expectations and needs of family. She showed them that, while it's essential to support and care for one another, it's equally important to maintain one's individuality, reminding them that personal fulfillment doesn't diminish love. It strengthens it, creating bonds that are more genuine and lasting. Conclusion: Living close to your children in old age can initially appear to be a solution for companionship and support, but without careful introspection, it can lead to a gradual erosion of personal autonomy. In Mrs. Olivia's case, her decision to live near her daughter and grandchildren, driven by love and a desire to be involved in their lives, eventually placed her in a position where her identity and needs were overshadowed by familial expectations. Through the Stoic principles of self-reflection and moderation, she realized that true happiness and wisdom stem from nurturing one's independence, understanding that we cannot control the demands of others, but we can control how we respond to them. By prioritizing her own well-being, Olivia was able to find balance, allowing her to reconnect with her passions and rediscover a sense of purpose. In doing so, she not only enriched her own life, but also became a more present, joyful figure for her family, teaching them the importance of self-care, boundaries, and the need for personal space. This lesson, one of self-love and the courage to prioritize one's needs, will resonate with her loved ones for generations, reminding them that maintaining independence is not a sign of detachment, but a foundation for fostering deeper, more meaningful relationships.